Hi, I'm Caitlin, and I'm from the STEAM Exchange Community Arts Center, and I'm going to introduce you to our slime kit today. We've got 3 different types of slime that we'll be making that all have different exciting scientific properties. All right, so let's get into this box here. You've got your instructions, and then you've got a few materials and supplies that you'll use for each of the 3 types of slime, and then the ingredients for each specific type of slime, and they're all labeled. So you've got your mixing cup, your measuring spoons, you've got activator, glycerin, 3 popsicle sticks for mixing, and then glue for slime 1, glue for slime 2, and glue for slime 3. You've got some additional ingredients for each slime. For slime 1, we have glow-in-the-dark powder, baking soda, and color tablets. For slime 2, we have photochromic powder and baking soda and glitter. And slime 3 has baking soda and clay. And additional optional things for slime 1, you have some styrofoam pellets that you can add. And slime 3 has a mysterious straw that we'll talk about later. All right, so let's get started with slime 1. The other thing that you'll need for your slime is a little bit of water. So some tips for your general slime making is you can always add more activator, but you want to start out with exactly what the recipe calls for and then add more a little bit at a time, because if you add too much, it's really easy to get thick, rubbery slime. You also want to make sure that you wash your hands before you play with slime to keep bacteria and dirt out of it, and wash them afterwards so you don't get boric acid in your eyes or your mouth. So we're going to start with some water. We're going to add a tablespoon of water to our mixing cup. Then we're going to add in our color tablets. And these will start dissolving in here. They're food coloring and some baking soda. And once they're about halfway dissolved, you can use one of your mixing sticks to crush them so that they dissolve faster and dissolve completely. All right, once your color tablets are completely dissolved, you're going to add all of the glue from your glue tab labeled number 1. The next things we're going to add are the glow-in-the-dark powder and baking soda. So the glow-in-the-dark powder is this cool pigment called zinc sulfide, and it's able to glow in the dark because the pigment molecules in it absorb radiant energy from light, so either sunlight or electric light, and it excites the molecules in the pigment, and they kind of like store that photonic energy, and then they release it later. So when the light's out, that's what gives your glow in the dark, makes it look like it's glowing. They're releasing those photons that they stored from earlier. All right, so we've got that well mixed. If you like your slime to be extra stretchy, this is a spot where you can add a few drops of glycerin. And once your glue and all the powders are mixed in, the next thing we're going to do is add our activator. And to look a little bit more closely at our measuring spoons, the first spoon we used for the water was a tablespoon. It's the one that says TBS. And then the next one that you're going to use is teaspoon, TSP. We're going to put 1 teaspoon of activator. We're going to stir that. You can see that right away it starts pulling away from the sides when we mix it. You want to mix it pretty well as you can in the container to see if you can collect all that glue. So one trick that you can use if you don't like to get your hands like completely covered in glue before your activator is all the way distributed is you can actually let your slime sit for a little bit and the activator will distribute itself. So you can see it's much stickier now than when we first mixed it up. So the next thing that you want to do is knead your slime. Get it all off our mixing stick with your hands, and that is the final way that you help distribute the activator. Just kind of stretch it. I'm sure everybody watching this is already an expert slime kneader, so I don't really need to explain the mechanics of how you knead your slime. If you find that it is a little bit too sticky still, you can add a few drops of the activator to your hand and then continue kneading it. But it looks like the slime is actually pretty good exactly the way it is. At this point, you could also add a few extra drops of glycerin if you wanted to, or you could add some type of lotion to it if you want it to be a little bit stretchier, or maybe like add a smell to it. The other thing that slime number 1 has an option of is these styrofoam pellets. So you can add those to your slime. The way that we like to add them is just like sticking the slime on top of the styrofoam and collecting a few and then folding them in, doing that over and over. And you can use all of the pellets or some of the pellets. All right, I feel like that's a pretty good textural experience on this slime here. All right, the last thing we want to show you for slime number 1 is how it glows in the dark. When you are done with your slime, we've included some storage containers, airtight storage containers. And before you mix in the styrofoam, it will definitely fit in one of these, but it's like a little bit too big once it's got the styrofoam balls in it. So we have an extra container, so you can divide it into 2. Oh, no. And make sure they're both completely sealed, and you can give one to a friend. All right, slime number 2. So we're gonna get our mixing cup back out and our clear glue, our glitter, our photochromic powder, and our baking soda for slime 2. So this one, we're gonna start out with a slightly different recipe because this one is made with clear glue, and this one we found tends to be a little bit stickier. So we're only gonna add a teaspoon, so 1 TSP, and a 1/2 teaspoon of water to start with. And next we're gonna add all of our clear glue. And our baking soda. Our photochromic powder. And our glitter. And we're going to mix that up really well. So photochromic powder, the pigment, is something that you may not have heard of. Photo is the Greek word for light, and chroma is the Greek word for color. So photochromic pigment is a color that changes color in response to light, and it does this in like a super cool way. So it absorbs the ultraviolet radiation from light, and it actually changes the shape of the pigment molecules. So they get a little bit bigger and they fold differently so that they reflect a different color light than they do when they're just in indoor light or in the shade. So we're gonna add 1 teaspoon now of our activator. I'm gonna stir that really well. You can see it's starting to pull away from the sides again. All right, so that one is ready for kneading. And this one is like very, very flowy. So we've had to add more activator to this one a few times after the initial mixing. So I'm gonna add just a few drops to my hand and mix that in. So you can see the slime right now is this kind of like interesting whitish, like off-white yellowy color. And that is the color that the pigment molecules are reflecting right now from just the indoor light. But if we were to take it outside and expose it to sunlight, it would make a quick color shift. And the pigment that you might have in your kit is going to start out actually blue, and it will make a color shift to purple in the sunlight. And so that one's still a little sticky. We'll add just a little bit more. And that's pretty good. Slime number 2, photochromic glitter slime. We're gonna stick that in a container. All right, the last slime is slime number 3. And that is clay slime. So this slime is half glue and half clay. So we're gonna start out with a teaspoon and a half of water. I'm gonna add all of the glue from tub number 3. And the baking soda. The baking soda is helping make your slime a little bit firmer, and it's also reacting with some of the ingredients in the activator to make that sodium borate. That's one of our important slime chemicals. All right, so next we're gonna add half a teaspoon. So we're starting with half the glue, so we're gonna add half the amount of activator. Half a teaspoon of our activator. Mix really well. And once that's pretty mixed, you're gonna get your clay out. Kind of spread that out. We're gonna take your slime and knead it into the clay. So if you wanted to make this is also a way that you can make butter slime. If you wanted to make this true butter slime, you would need to add some shaving foam in before you added the activator, but we're a pretty big fan of just the clay slime. The clay slime is cool because it's got some of the best properties of the clay and of the slime. So you can see it's like stretchy. If you stretch it slow, it also like holds its form better than regular slime. So you can kind of like sculpt with it a little bit. And it has one more thing that we're super into, and that is the reason why we included the mysterious straw in your kit. All right, so it's pretty well mixed. You're gonna take your slime and mush it into a pancake. And you're going to cover it over the end of your straw and pinch it shut around it so you've got like a little air pocket trapped in there. And then you can blow into the end of the straw. And make a pretty epic slime balloon. It's got all those satisfying pops afterwards. And that's slime number 3. We don't know a whole lot about the science of slime number 3 because the clay is a pretty recent clay on the market, and the recipe is proprietary. So all we know is that it is a air drying polymer clay that's really light and fluffy. 3 slimes: glow-in-the-dark slime, photochromic glitter slime, and clay slime. Thanks for joining us for making slime today. If you want to learn more about the science of slime, there's some cool explanations in the instructions that talk about the cross-linking that happens between the boric acid and the glue, and also how slime is a non-Newtonian fluid. It acts like a liquid sometimes and a solid other times. We'll see you for another project soon.